Alright, welcome y'all to a live stream that you may find interesting. And if not,
Hi guys,
blow me sideways, right?
it's me, your buddy Suze. And of course today, I have two purposes with this million things swimming around in my head. When I just finished up with my live stream was silly, and I had played my last piece, which is entitled Amending America, How Do We Amend? Well, look, it's like there's no videos after that. And what I speak to you guys a lot about is this documentation of my experience with Mr. Computer Head and the ins and outs of this technology. Now, earlier today, Randy had referred to someone that wanted to friend him and why he knew it was suspicious from the start. And what my response was, to Randy in the messages was that, these stupid emails, okay, on my iPhone, and it's all these dirty, nasty, vile, hook up and get some sex and we dig you. And then the other one is, you better quit sending me your naked pictures. Now, there are no naked pictures of me, but we know about Photoshop, so, take your biometrics, take your face, put it on another body, do what you want to do. Bing, bang, boom, influence media, turn people against each other, start a war. But the point is, I've been trying to get rid of these daggum, stupid correspondences from whether it's a bot or whether it's the dark web or whether it's the boogie boogie monster. You can't unsubscribe. Why? Because it's not even a valid email address. Now, how in the world are we supposed to believe whatever we want to believe about being safe wherever we are, whether it's online or outside or with our best friends in our own house? Because despite popular opinion, your friends are not only those that are in your close contact, in your community. I mean, I wish I had friends in my community. That'd be awesome. I still have a few, but that's a whole other story. So, where I wanted to start out with is what I find fascinating about this phenomena that I'm directly looking at right now and bringing into evidence on August 10th, 2018, would be that it's much easier to hack your iPhone. We all know that. But isn't that interesting that I have no options on my little playlist? So what I want to do is I want to start with this video so y'all can see it. And the reason I do bring this into the Fair Use Act of 1976 is because of what I know about the Glasscock family. 1789 was a big important year. And they bring it up right here. Now, the other reason I use it is because, see, that little orange-headed girl is me. I mean, believe what you want, but I really felt like her as I was listening to this thing. Now, keep in mind, we all know, well, I shouldn't say we all know because that is a falsity. Okay, now, where I'm at is the U.S. National Archives, and this was published on March 3rd, 2016. Okay. Now, in 2016, most people would have still listened to the History Channel and said that they're bringing accurate information. I mean, it was very, very popular, as most of you know. Well, the gossip on the street is that it became compromised somehow, probably with a new takeover in the corporate structure or something. But all of a sudden, the people in the know were saying, man, the History Channel blows. I mean, they're just pumping the same shit that the other shows are. What do I know? So, let me play you this video. And like I said, under fair use, especially when they're going to educate you on your Constitution and how do we amend. It was springtime. I don't see a problem with this. 1789, springtime. Now wait. Now wait. Now just wait a second. So they're going to start out the video and refer to 1789. Now, did I just climb out from under a boulder, or didn't we hear about the Constitution in 1776 and go fight, win, yay, and this is America? Well, you know, the other thing I need to bring up right now is just the other day, and dadgum, I wish I would have wrote it down, but I was laying flat and I was meditating, and I didn't want to break that wave, let's say. But anyhow, they actually mentioned the name of the very, 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 very first president, because, you know, George Washington was no more the first president than I'm a 16-year-old girl. And to make that more interesting, always remember that in this never-ending story, George Washington, for some reason, decided to honor a great glass cock by the name of George, and that was my uncle's name. I hope I'm telling the right story, but anyhow, I have it over in the book, trust me. Well, anyhow, he was a doctor, and he was very involved with early government, and that would be this 1789 song and dance, because that's the year he was murdered. So, I find this very, very synchronistic that now we're erasing those years that the Glasscocks were here before it became America. And how do I know that? Well, because you can Google search it, you know, and look up the Glasscocks, and you'll find a Thomas and Jane Glasscock. They had this patent in 1643. But, you know, Google, I mean, I guess they say the dog ate it and they don't know what patent it is, but if you go to 1643 patents, you'll find the Land Patent Act connected to the Glasscocks. So, you know, when you think these days that you own your house, and you've heard those horror stories where they annex your property, like they're doing in U City with all the TIF money. We'll see all these people that are here barely hanging on day to day. Well, now they're going to lose their homes because they're going to build it for the wealthy. Who the hell are the wealthy in St. Louis or anywhere? But, you know, St. Louis, I can validate that because we have one of the lowest socioeconomic standards of living in the United States. This is serious. And they want to build a playground for who? But anyhow, see, the Glasscocks were here as indigenous people to this land before 1776. And I know I don't look like an Indian squaw, but don't judge a book by its cover. Kind of like I had to tell, you know, someone that's picking on me. I mean, we're all slaves. Don't you put me in another group just because I'm white. It's wrong. It was wrong when they decimated the indigenous. And oh, by the way, if you're watching my international coverage, oh, everybody's heated up with this old switch out the kids, steal one, take one, clone one, make one story.
We'll go over
South America's pissed. And I was listening to something out of England this morning, but they weren't speaking the English. You know, it was symbols. And I mean, I listen and I pick up words. And everything that's going on globally, oh yes, 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 it is getting connected to the United States. And keep in mind, it's not our damn fault that we were an experiment by some freak show dynasty that was always fighting over the throne and killing off their very own, just to have that power and control. So don't be surprised that this would go on current time, right?
Right.
Let's get on with our education. Oh, it does not look like it did back then. Oh no, little Red, you need to grow up. Oh, is that like the Me Too movement, Red? Which I'm not a part of, by the way.
Nobody grabbed my boob.
Well, first off, penguins have more rights than people.
Right, they get to be animals. We're straw men.
Hey, freedom was an invention. The Americans defined that term to make people think they were free.
In the book Dynamic
Bingo.
Freedoms.
I got it in a book.
Dynamic Freedoms.
It wasn't. Wait. Hey, wait, kid. Wait. They just said it wasn't a magic trick. Now, I beg to differ, because spell casting, language, etymology, as those of us that travel in this circle well are aware of, that is spell casting, so it was a magic trick. It was instigated by dark forces, and it is a battle of power and principalities, my dear friends.
That's right.
Our Constitution would have to somehow incorporate new ideas, so they gave it Article 5.
Wrong. They keep looping the same things. It's a plug-in algorithm program, you vampires. Nobody's coming up with any new ideas. I mean, they are now. Last couple of years we've been working. I don't know who all these wigs are. And they're not the musicians I run with.
Talk to number one.
So, how exactly does the Constitution get amended? When an idea has enough popular support, women ought to have the right to vote.
Wait. Women ought to have the right to vote. Now, in the beginning,
Off with her head.
I mean, what? Was it just some jackasses saying, hey, man, let's let them think that their opinion matters? Because only our opinion matters. Because obviously there was a very small group voting at first. Especially if the women couldn't vote. And the people of color couldn't vote. And oh yeah, that big business, the prison system, you don't get to vote there either. I mean, they're busting the voting booths constantly, being compromised. I can't believe anybody thinks their vote counts in this system that we're dealing with right now. I mean, do people have that much false ego? They really want to believe that somebody believes their opinion matters? Look at my story. My opinion has never mattered. Which is why I now document it for the Akasha. And it may still not matter in this physicality, in this world, but oh, I promise you, whatever you do here and you do with a true heart and walk into that unknown, it does affect the eternal now, and it does affect the universe. And the universe does return it. No, I'm not a big proponent of the law of attraction. They prostituted it and monetized it and made a game out of it, just like this. Did I ever mention I don't like games too much, but I'm playing the biggest game of my life? And I'm digging it. But don't ask me to play stupid games. Or games you're going to get pissed if I win. I mean, it's really not if I win. If I get to do what I do, everybody benefits. And that's all I
Spill and
know.
spell.
And I'm
Isn't that funny?
either way. I mean, I love you guys. All right, let's get on with it. I haven't voted for decades. Blow me sideways. Blow me sideways.
If it makes it out of committee, the full chamber debates. And if 2/3 of members vote for it, it passes. Then it becomes in the bedroom. Nope.
But the vote's
Now
rigged.
it goes to the other chamber and
What do you call them?
process.
Those people
Any differences
that take all the money and the payoffs,
Lobbyist.
like the
Lobbyist. That's it.
insurance company, you know,
Lobbyist.
people like that, big strong groups.
Congress. The national
Fucking life insurance. How stupid is that these days?
If 3/4 of states send back ratifications, the Archivist of the United States.
Even if you get buried for 20 grand,
The
man,
Constitution
you know they'll
is
dig that shit up.
amended. It isn't easy to change the document.
There's not enough room for everybody to go underground.
But we changed it back then, and it seems to me.
Oh, the vampires and you kids.
Some changes.
No, we can make some changes. Right, why can't we? Yeehaw. Okay. Alright, so that was really good. See?
Okay.
And this is the credits for everybody that made this thing that they talk about called history. And we know the spoils of war and the victors are who write the history. So thank you very much, U.S. National Archives. Okay. Now what am I really here for? Oh, many things. But you see, first off, I wanted to document this before I go away. Because let's just act like that this is an error. Well, okay, Suze. If it's an error, when you click out of it, everything should be fine. Everything's fine. I'm at my Facebook page. I'm going to click back. And look. Not now. My phone storage is full. Okay, so as you can see, nothing follows this. And I don't really understand that. So next, what I'm doing just is investigative journalism and spiritual research and citizen journalism and just being a nosy redhead. Because you know what? My dad was a policeman and I got it in my DNA. I want to know what's going on. And my Gram wanted me to be safe. She loved me and I loved her. And I carry on her legacy. So I want to know what's up. Because I'll tell you what, just the other day, here again on another video, we'll see, Southwest Bell was your first ginormous monopoly. I mean,
Yes.
big ass corporate huge, right? Now my Gram was vested. Oh yes, into Southwest Bell. I do have the original legal document. Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
And what it says there is if that monopoly is ever broken, that every one of the vested employees of Southwest Bell would be compensated. That never happened for her.
Nope.
I mean, she read the stocks and bonds page in the newspaper every day of her hard working, beer-filled, clothes washing, food cooking life. Okay?
And that'd be Utago Uranium and Vista
But
Petroleum.
they stole her stocks and bonds because a guy named Maxim Shashenko has got that all tied up nice and neat in some kind of package of deceit. And each share is worth $99 million. I used to say 98. Nobody cares who he is. I mean, I've said it
Right, he's
a dozen
Mr. Oil.
times, but anything I say is irrelevant? Well, sure, Sue's Facebook is a video game. Oh, stop it. Come on. That's really what I'm here today to talk about, too. Because, alright? Now, people hold us up to contracts all the time, but we have no rights. And then, of course, their big actions go unnoticed. And they pick on us until we crumble and die.
Okay. Now, this is a long video, and nobody likes to watch long videos. And I fully understand that. So, what I'm going to do now, because we're only 17 minutes in, and if you can't take 17 minutes, you don't want to be on my YouTube channel. Lord have mercy. Well, what I wanted to do was bring you that reading from the Glasscock Family Quarterly, because what we were speaking about in the very beginning with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, I think is what should be the focus. So, this kin of mine, his name was Dr. George Glasscock. So, I did quote that correct. And his home was on the north side of the Deep River, adjacent to Ramsey's Mill, a place which was later known as Lockville. This is where Highway US 1 crosses Deep River, about 3 miles upstream from where the Haw River merges with the Deep River to form the Cape Fear River. That's already scary. Now, Dr. George's wife, her name was Martha Howard Glasscock, and they wrote a book about these people and their 9 children. The name of the book is Tale of a Tar Heel Town by Meade Sewell, and it states that Dr. George had 10 children, 5 boys and 5 girls. Okay, so he's a family man, good guy, working in small town politics at the time. And it says, the story goes that Dr. George Glasscock was murdered in 1787 at the instigation of Colonel Philip Alston. Now, this jackass was Morris County's first aristocrat. He was the son of a wealthy and influential Joseph John Alston, who at the time of his death left 150 slaves and 100,000 acres of land. This Philip Alston came to Moore County probably in 1772, and he acquired 4,000 acres on the north side of Deep River in the Horseshoe, which is a historical landmark in North Carolina in Moore County. Alright, so they go on and they tell his story. Now, what it says is on December 3rd, he was granted a leave of absence to give full time to military affairs. Okay. It was about this time that he succeeded by craft or by ruthlessness in dominating the local political scene. We're talking about Philip Alston. This is like we talk about how a psychopath can infiltrate a pyramid. And this Alston appears as one of 8 justices. This office was held, or wait, yeah. After the termination of hostilities and the formation of Moore County in 1784, Alston appeared as one of the 8 justices. He at that time commanded the respect of his colleagues by his being appointed by them as clerk of the court. The office he held until February 23rd, 1785, when he resigned, in quotes, promised that George Glasscock should act as deputy until his son James Alston became of age. Upon the court was to appoint James Alston clerk. Now, Alston resigns, Glasscock picks up, and remember, he bivouacked also the troops from the Revolutionary Army in his land and his home. Now, in December 1785, the Assembly was faced with the embarrassment of having one of its members charged with murder. Testimony presented to the body disclosed that Philip Alston had been guilty of the murder of one Thomas Taylor. Alright, so maybe he's a hitman. And it revealed that Taylor had long been and continued to be an enemy of the state and was actually guilty of imprisonment of treason for the few minutes before he fell. Since Colonel Alston at the time was commanding a corps of militia in the service of the state, quote, for the express purpose of suppressing the Tories, the committee was of the opinion that he should be brought to trial for this death, and the Assembly should recommend that Governor Caswell issue a pardon to him. Yet, a strong dissentience was entered into the records by at least 3 of the state's most outstanding and honorable citizens. These men felt themselves, quote, unwilling at all time to prevent the inquiries of law into so heinous a crime as murder. Governor Caswell's pardon did not close the issue. And then they write a newspaper article, typically signed Proculus, and it was so vehement in its denunciation of Alston that Caswell considered it his duty to refer the matter back to the Assembly for investigation. So there's a lot of big hubbub, and this Alston is who goes on to have his slave Dave murder my kin, this Glasscock man. And keep in mind, that's late 1788 or 1789, so we're seeing this culmination move hard and fast. And then, of course, our beginning piece that we're learning from picks up in 1789, which is very convenient. Now, let's talk about Dr. Glasscock. The smoke had not cleared from this affair when a new fire of somewhat similar nature was kindled. The Moore County minutes recorded on February 20th, 1786, that Philip Alston, in a very abusive manner, treated George Glasscock. He said that Alston, then sitting as justice on the bench, Glasscock, it will be remembered, had taken Alston's place as clerk of the court according to his epitaph, inscribed on his tombstone at Cross Hill. Dr. Glasscock had been a surgeon on the medical staff of the American Army at the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. He was also the son of William Glasscock and Esther Ball Glasscock, and was related through his mother to George Washington's mother. That, my friends, is why later on George Glasscock says, hey, all these Glasscocks are sons and daughters of the Revolution. But interestingly enough, by the 1830s, well, the Glasscocks, except for one, are off of the census records in Georgia. So you tell me where my family went. You think they all got hung on doorknobs with scarves or something? I told you guys there wasn't nothing new. They've been doing this for years. Well, anyhow, Alston blames his slave Dave, don't forget. But they wrote a book about this. And the book is called The Outlaw Years by Robert M. Coates, C-O-A-T-E-S, published in 1930. Tag it, the year of the Depression. You know when it started. The year after they outlawed homeopathy. Anyhow, is about outlaws who appeared on the Natchez Trace. Natchez Trace. There was a place called Cave in Rock. It had a long chapter in the history of river piracy. which I think was on the Ohio River. The book quoted Diamond Island was still a nest of brigands, and it had been in the days of Kuykendall's courtship. Control of the cave and rock had been usurped by a most mysterious gentleman named Philip Alston. And this is a quote. Dressed in ruffles, broadcloth, and lace, he went about the dirty business of scuttling Kentucky boats and murdering their crews. He was supposed to have been a native of Natchez, of the bluest blue blood. And the tale goes that, in the end, when his luck crashed, he escaped to Mexico and there rose again to high dignity, moving still among the Spanish gentlemen, courteously formal, dressed in his ruffles, broadcloth, and lace. Could this be the same Philip Alston who had Dr. George Glasscock killed in Moore County, North Carolina? And we have the sources of information, too. I'll just hold that up to the screen for posterity. Sources of information. William and Mary Quarterly, Volume 17, Virginia Genealogies, page 48. Glasscock, Glasgow, Saga, Letters of Glasscock Family in North Carolina Records, article written by James H. Womack in the Moore County News, August 9th, 1978, and then the quote from the book Tale of a Tar Heel Town, which documented the Glasscocks. Okay, so we're going to end this live stream. Keep it short and sweet. And this is part 1. And I'm Suze Pratt. So, y'all take care and keep the faith. And we'll meet on the other side and talk more. Peace out from Ferguson.